When we go out to watch a football match, how do we identify ourselves supporting one of the teams on the ground? We carry flags or caps or t shirts with the team logos on it, don't we? What do all these acts have in common? In all these actions, we are identifying with one team over another. And if we are an ardent fan, we will intentionally find ways of identifying with our team. We choose to identify publicly with the team you support so that others will know where we stand. Now, my question for you today is, how do you identify publicly as a practicing Christian? Do you identify, or are you a little more sensitive, secretive? Or do you tend to be more on the private side? Part of biblical faith is identifying ourselves with Christ and his people. One of the first faith principles is that faith refuses to identify with the world no matter what the world offers. We find this in verse 24 of Hebrew 11, which reads, "By faith Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter." Faith refuses to identify with the world. And what does the world offer? There are three primary temptations the world offers. They are power, pleasure, and wealth. True biblical faith refuses the temptation of worldly power and influence. Moses grew up in Egypt as son of Pharaoh's daughter. Acts 7:22 tells us that Moses was educated in all wisdom of the Egyptians. So Moses would have been educated in science, mathematics, literature, government, law, and economics. He would have been multilingual as he had known Hebrew from his childhood and would have learned Egyptian and Aramaic as the general language of business and commerce. There is a great divine irony at work here. God so arranged things that Pharaoh's family actually raised and educated the very one who would deliver the Israelites from out of their midst. God's plan was for Moses to give Israel the law and to write down her early history, so he provided Moses in advance with the education he would need for this work. So Moses had it all. He had power, influence, money, and connections, and was the next in line to the throne. Hebrews 11:24 tells us that when Moses grew up, he refused. Refused implies that he turned down. What could have been Moses' dilemma? Would he identify with Egypt or with Israel? Humanly speaking, Egypt had all power while Israel had no power. They were powerless. They were slaves to the Egyptians. It would have been easy for Moses to justify identifying with Egypt, but Moses knew where the real power was. Moses knew that God was on the side of Israel, and so he refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Faith refuses the temptation of worldly power and influence. Do you have faith to identify yourself as a Christian and with Christ and his people, no matter what the consequences? Be blessed.